So, hello everyone. Very happy to be here with all of you. I'm Daniel Santos, and I'm here with my dear friend Ken. I will let him introduce himself, and we are going to talk today about coaching, but in a different way. We're going to talk about the myths of coaching. What, at the end of the day, what is coaching, and what it's not coaching, based on our experience. So, Ken, I'll let you introduce yourself, and we take it from there.
Well, thank you, Daniel. I'm Ken Roseboom. I'm a leadership coach with Thinking Partners, the leadership coaching company. Um, yeah, how did I get to be here? I spent 37 years as a project manager and engineer and delivering large projects, and I got to work with coaches. And about 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to start punching my own ticket and start doing really more of what I like doing, and that's helping people lead better and have more productive lives and have more higher performing teams that work better together. So that's that's what I like doing. And yeah, here in COVID times, a whole lot of Zoom time. So Daniel, it's great to be here.
Over the years, I basically stopped using the word coaching, right? Because it became, in a way, a negative word. It became a symbol of, magic formula, or, here's a coach and work with this person and you're going to be rich, happy, you're going to lose weight, and all of that you're going to do like in 2 weeks. And so it became something so distant from what I believe coach really is, right? So
Hmm.
that's why we kind of felt there was the need to probably go back to this, to the core, go back to the beauty of coaching, what coaching really is, right? So this was my calling, this was my why on how to do, on why to do this video. But I want to hear from you as well, Ken.
Hmm. Yeah. So the question is, yeah, why coaching, or what was the motivation for doing this? And for me, it's yeah, coaching is about a relationship. It's a one-to-one. We use the word co-create quite a bit. It's a relationship, and they have some different roles for the coach and the client or coachee. But it's a special relationship, a very special relationship where things can be shared and be done. And so to me, my goal in doing this was to give a sense of what it's like to work with me. What is it like to be in a coaching engagement, to be coached? Because many people don't know what that's like. So yeah, and I like how you formatted this with what are the myths of coaching, and kind of say, well, what it's not, let's talk about what it is. So I like that. I like that a lot.
Exactly. And for the sports fans out there that are going to be watching us, because it's very interesting here in the United States, the word coaching is also very related to the word of sports, right? So, yes, I
Mhm.
am a basketball coach or a soccer coach. I appreciate that. But here, the focus today is really to talk about human development coach, right? So, on an individual or a collective level, right? All of these things we're going to talk about can be applicable to teams and groups and organizations, but it's really about human development coach. Um, so why we don't start with the myths, right? Maybe, and we put together here, guys, some of the myths that we hear from our clients or some of the things we see on social media. But I want to invite you as well. Besides, of course, please subscribe to the channel here. At the end of the video, we're gonna let Ken talk about where you can find him and where you can find me. But leave your comments. Leave your comments here if there are other myths or other questions you have about what is coaching, what is not coaching. Put on the comment section, and we're going to be happy to answer. So, Ken, I have a first one for you, which
Mhm.
is, wow, I have a problem. There's something wrong with me. I need a coach.
Well, I think it is true. People do finally say, dang it, I need a coach because I want to look into this coaching because they're dissatisfied, with something going on. But being dissatisfied and something being wrong with you is two different things. We like to use the term distinctions. as you noted in sports, the best athletes in the world have coaches. They have multiple coaches for all the various aspects it takes. I was really struck by the Aaron Rodgers acceptance speech when he got the MVP for 2020. How many people he had supporting him. It was absolutely impressive. And what he saw were his keys to success that might be worthwhile looking up. Um, so yeah, I think you just want to be better. You just want to be better. You want to perform better. Your team wants to be better. Uh, I work with successful people. As a matter of fact, people who seek out coaching are successful. They just find that they're bumping up against something.
Hmm. Yeah. How about the even the negative connotation, right? And I'm curious if you have seen that in your career on both sides, right? Because as you said, you worked many years as an executive now, and you are an executive coaching, working for companies. But one thing I've seen both sides is, wow, you know that person, the company just hired the coach for him or for her. I think he's in deep trouble. Right? Have you seen that?
Yeah. And I'm sure I felt like that also at one point in my career. And then you begin to have some success as a coach, or the culture changes to where, actually strong people ask for help. It's actually someone who truly, when people really get to start changing their culture, they start changing how they show up. It's really the strong people who ask for support, who have the strength to ask and say that I don't have to solve this all by myself. They're the ones who actually achieve and go. There's kind of the saying: if you don't know who your mentor is, you don't have one. So it's good to cultivate that network of support, and coaches can be a part of that.
Hmm. Absolutely. Thank you. I believe you have one for me, right? There's
Oh,
so many myths out there.
do coaches know the answer? I'm at it. I don't know the answer to this. So the myth is coaches know the answer. Do you know the answer, Daniel?
Oh man, yeah. I wish, right? I wish, and I wish I was one of those enlightened people, that has all the answers and has all the magic formulas and all of that. But true coaching, guys, is really not about that. It's not about that, and that's why I really don't appreciate when I see people out there doing coach sessions, what they label as like coaching sessions or coaching meetings for thousands of people on a stage, right? Because in order to go really deep and to put yourself not as something that is better than the other person, but put yourself at the same level and put yourself as a facilitator, right? It needs to be a one-on-one process, or yes, it can be applicable to teams, but we're probably going to be talking about 5 people, 10 people. You cannot do this type of work for 10,000 people on a stage. We can call that like a lecture or a motivational speech or something else, but that's not coaching, right? And definitely coaching is also not related to giving advice, is not related to giving the answers, right? I mean, the idea we worked from, right? And Ken, I want to love to hear your perspective here, is that the coachee, in other words, the client has the answers. And we are here to facilitate the process, to help this person find the answers, right? Help this person to expand the way he or she sees their lives. So,
Yeah, there's a Daniel. I think you're spot on with that. We've talked a lot about what is the coaching model, and it is one of co-creation. Try to keep the power about 50-50 between the coach and the coachee, because the coachee is the one taking the action. They're the ones that are really on the playing field, if you will, to use the sports analogy. And the coach is guiding with some questions or just pointing out, hey, did you notice that we keep coming back to this topic? But we don't really keep going there. Or did you notice how you tensed up or you became open and relieved when you said what you said? So it's that reflection back that many times the coach provides. And I think at the end of the day, does the coach have the answers? Well, there's some wisdom about it, but I mean, in your own experience, haven't you really paid more attention to your own revelations, to your own guidance that you gave yourself more than you gave to somebody than, taking the full on guidance of somebody else without
Yeah,
questioning. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good segue, right, to another myth that I'm going to put here to you and we can discuss, which is, oh, coaching is about mentoring, is pretty much the same thing as mentoring, or, oh, no, coach, I don't want to do coach because it's like psychotherapy and I'm already doing some psychotherapy, or
Mhm.
coaching is about like people trying to act as psychologists and they are not psychologists. So how do you make the difference between all those distinctions, right?
Let's talk coaching and mentoring first about the distinction between the two. And I think mentors can coach and coaches can mentor when they're very, very clear that they're mentoring. Mentoring is typically about a skill or a knowledge or something that someone does. Sometimes it's horizontal development to teach somebody something that they want to expand their knowledge in. It could be career development, but it's usually something that you're doing. Whereas coaching, particularly the way you and I believe coaching is that coaching is about how we show up. So it's about relationships and conversations, and it's a little bit more of how a person behaves and interacts and observes the world. And so it's a little bit different in the goals of each. One is to become more skilled in doing, and the other one is sometimes to be more skilled in the conversations and culture building, the other things that leaders do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the distinction I would draw between mentors and coaches. Daniel, do you want to take on the one about mentors or I'm sorry, coaches and therapists? Is
And
that how would
therapists.
you draw that distinction?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, to me, look, we need to acknowledge, right? And I got that. Many people have dual certification, right? So you have people that they are, certified, graduated, or as psychologists, and they are also certified as coaches, right? I would say majority of people that I know, they do not have a psychology major, right, or a psychology graduate level. They do have a coach level. So for those who are like me, for example, which my whole career has been business, I think we need to make a very clear distinction and say, there are certain things that need to be treated by a psychologist, especially when we talk about things related to the past, right? So, situations in the past that, they might have happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, but the person in a way is still carrying those situations and is still affecting his or her performance today. Depending on the nature of the situation, the psychologist is the most appropriate person to handle that situation, right? And coaching overall, our focus, especially in ontology, right? And I think we can talk a little bit more about ontology in a minute, but we really go into the present and the future, right? And sometimes we talk about the past. I think it's important to understand the family history or even the cultural history of where the person was born and raised, but really it's more about the present and the future.
Yeah, Daniel, I think that's a good distinction to make. And I would expand a little bit as well on therapy and coaching. Coaches will go to the past and, to the extent that they're comfortable, their clients comfortable with them. Um, I enjoy going to the past. The difference would be how long we spend thinking about and working in the past. And, I think I like going to our past and maybe, really understanding the story of how we got to where we are. We all developed our success strategies in our past, what's made us successful to this point. Many times people are in seek out coaching because that success strategy, whatever it is that they've been doing that's brought them success to this point, is not what is bringing them success now, or won't bring them what they want. So, so that's kind of a fundamental difference. Coaches will go back to the past to understand and then apply that to the future. And coaches have this fundamental belief that the person's wholesome and whole, that they're not broken, they are successful. And therapists may say, we have something to fix here. And my approach is that there's nothing that needs to be fixed with my coachees. They're resourceful and they can figure out their next steps, what they're going to do next.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful what you just said because it brings me to a distinction I use a lot between change and expansion, right? And we are so used to talk about change, change, change all the time, like especially people like us that came from the business environment where, oh, we need to change that project, we're not getting to the results we want, and we need to change ourselves in order to be promoted or something. I think that's really into much more like the psychology approach, or even I would say the traditional executive coaching, right? I think us as ontological coaches, the idea that ontology is the study of the being, right? Why am I the way I am? Why I have certain types of thoughts, emotions, why my body shows up in a certain way. So using this idea, it's really, as you said to me, it's not about change. Oh, there's something wrong with me, I need to change. I think it's much more about, yes, there are things in my life. I am a beginner. I was not exposed to that. I didn't have the chance to learn. So I'm going to declare a beginner and start. And other things, yes, I am already competent, or I believe I can add a lot of value here, right? So it's much more the expansion.
And I think there is something in common with both coaching and therapy is that we both truly want the best for the client. And if it's not working, if my coaching isn't working, I had an example. Many times in coaching, we'll come to the point of say, well, what's your vision, and what would do you want to make a declaration for really pursuing that vision? And if the coachee just doesn't have the wherewithal, if they're so depressed that they cannot create even a possibility of a bigger future, that's kind of a clue that maybe coaching is not working for them, and maybe somebody that could work at a deeper level where the person just is so depressed that they can't move forward. To me, that's getting out of the coaching realm, and I'm going to suggest a good therapist to the person to see if that might be more appropriate, and they might be able to help them more than I could.
Mhm.
So Daniel, this business, a coach is just a paid friend. You're just paying for someone. I'm just paying someone to listen to me. That's all I get. We had this great session where all he did was listen to me. Is that
Exactly.
is that coaching?
Yeah. Oh, the person listens to me. I pay a lot of money. At the end of the day, I don't really know if this is effective or not. But you know what? I feel good, right? I feel relaxed to be able to talk to somebody else. Yeah, but that's not coaching the way we see, right? I mean, and I admit, I mean, many times I think I fall into this trap of trying to please some of my clients, try to make my clients happy. But I think more and more now, as we gain experience, right, we understand that the true way to help somebody else, especially in a coaching relationship, is not to make them happy. It's not to please them. It's really to make them, facilitate the process of seeing something differently, right? Taking them out of their comfort zone. So, and sometimes they might not like it, the session, but in my experience, many, many times they come back the week later and say, wow, you know what, that was tough to hear, but it really changed the way I am seeing things and I'm acting.
Yeah, Daniel. Yeah, so I think you're spot on with that in the sense that this becoming comfortable with discomfort. If you just wanted to be comfortable, yeah, that to me that's a friendship. Coaches uh, should provoke and should have you look into your own discomforts. discomfort is a great, great leading indicator that you're growing. It doesn't have to be, you have to have pain to have gain, but a little discomfort means that you're taking a look at something in a different way, and maybe looking at exploring and exercising a muscle or doing something in a way that you haven't done it before. And that's a good part of coaching. So one of the great questions is: are you coaching, or are you friending, or are you coaching, or are you coaxing? And yeah, I think it's good to feel provoked.
So here's another one, Ken. Coaching, at the end of the day, is all about a big BS, right? So don't even talk to me about coaching. Everybody, when I open my social media channels, Instagram, Twitter, everyone now is a coach. I see people that have no idea what they are doing and they are coaches. So don't even talk to me about it, man. This is a BS. This is just a waste of money. How do you react to that?
Hmm. Yeah, so many ways to react to that. I might ask, well, you know, if you're happy with the way things are going, then maybe it's not time for you. And when you are, truly dissatisfied with the current case or this very predictable future, maybe it's time to engage some support, because your plan A and your plan B, what's been successful for you in the past, isn't really working. And it might require a plan C that could help get you there, where you really take a look at what's your resistance to change. What's my identity that's not serving me here? What's the environment I'm living in? And a different perspective, and someone that can help you develop and understand different perspectives might truly be something that's there. And if that's all on somebody's feeling about coaching, then yeah, they're not coachable. Yeah, move on.
Exactly, exactly. As we say, right? I mean, a very important thing, guys, is the coaching client is in the driver's seat, right? This person is the one who needs to reach out to the coach, needs to take ownership of the activities, the practices, the process, the transformational process. And it already happened with me. I'm curious if it happened with you. Like sometimes it's not only a matter of the clients hiring us; it's a matter of us deciding if we want to stay or not with the client, right? And I had to fire a couple of clients because they were not engaged, and and that's okay to me, because it shows that it's not time for them, right?
I find that early in a coaching engagement, that it's time very, very well spent to work on what does the end look like? What is the vision? And also what's the current dissatisfaction? Because that change, that delta between current and desired future on an emotional basis is the fuel for change. It quite literally is the fuel for change. Emotions are emotions. They're literally what predisposes to action. So a really clear statement around that, and even a declaration, which is one of our it's in our toolbox, is to make a declaration on what do we want the future to look like, is a very powerful tool. Because when you get lost in, how's this going to go, and it's a grand declaration, to come back to that vision and that of what you want is a very powerful thing to do. And just to have clarity on what you want the future to look like, that's a very good coaching subject. And that's not easy. That's not easy to come to. Coaches can help you come to just clarity on what you want.
Exactly. And so many times it's okay, in my opinion, it's okay not to have clarity in the beginning. And I think many people, they put too much pressure on themselves to say, oh, I don't really know what I'm looking for. In the beginning,
Mhm.
that's totally okay. I mean, and we are here to help the clients to find the clarity, right?
Yeah.
But once the clarity is found, the commitment to continue and the commitment to understand that the true coaching, it's nothing to do with magic formula. It's nothing to do with, oh, okay, do those three things over the next 7 days and you're going to be done. No, it takes time. It takes a life, right?
Daniel, what in a coaching session, what would a client expect from you? What would they
Yeah,
expect what we call the arc of coaching to look like for you?
exactly. So I think, and that's very important thing for me that I usually use the first session to clarify with the client, which is what's the process that I use, right? And ontology is one of the bases. Positive psychology, anthroposophy, and some other things, but have a lot of clarity with the customer. What's your level of engagement, right? Being very clear on, debunking a little bit of the myths we discussed here. Look, my role is not to give you advice. My role is not to make you happy. I usually use the first session to clarify those questions.
The agenda for a typical coaching session might look like a check-in. And the real intent there is to become present, to let go of what's going on out there. And if you can't let go of it, that might well be the coaching topic of the day, so that might well be the right thing to talk about. But to check in and become very present to, what we want to do today. And then to really be guided by, well, what's next? What does the client want to have happen here? And how would that make a difference? How would that change? How would that really bring some benefit by the end of our session? And then we'll explore that, and we'll check into, well, what's going on with that, and then that's going to lead to some depth, some understanding, some clarity, and then we may look at some possibilities. What's possible? Is there some way to change? What would we change? And being, like you say, ontological coaches, we may work with, well, would another emotion serve you better? Would a different way of showing up, a different way of being serve you better in this instance? And what would we work for in this space? And at the end of the session, we might say, well, what's going to be the practice? What's the action in the next 2 weeks? What's going to be different? It could be just as simple as just becoming more aware, or it might be a very occasion-driven action or setting something up. Because at the end of the day, action is what clients want. And then I'll probably ask one question at the end, and what's going to be, well, what was your takeaway? And for me, a measure of success of a coaching session is, did the client make a shift? Did they come to some moment? Did they come to some way that they want to try out that will help them get what they want?
Exactly. Exactly. I think you summarized so well. Guys, this is an amazing example. What does an ontological coaching session looks like, right? And you can see here, this in a way, I think debunks all the myths that we've been talking today. I think there's a very important myth that I get sometimes, and I want to hear from you and can share my perspective, which is, okay, I got that. Coaching sounds really good. I want to do definitely, but I believe it's more about conversation. It's more about talk, and maybe you can recommend some books to me or some movies. I think there's a lot of, ignorance about, are we going to talk about emotions here? Are we going to talk about body? No, I don't want to go there. So how do you see that situation? I can't.
A lot of my clients come to me and they say, I heard about this thing, executive presence. I want some of that. And there's really four elements of executive presence to me. One is our perception, which is, by the way, is what we say, and particularly what we say to ourselves and what we say to others. There's our presence, or our actual bodies, how we show up. So when people walk in the room, somebody walks in the room and you say, oh, there's a leader. And, I don't know if that person's really carrying themselves like a leader or not. And there's the emotional stability. Everyone says, oh, okay, well, they brought their emotions to their leadership style that was appropriate for the circumstance. And then the fourth area of executive presence is, what's your passion? What are you known for? How can I be predictable that people will know a leader that stood for something, that showed up authentically? Mm-hmm. So all those aspects, Daniel, involved bodies, emotions, and language, and conversation. Conversations is what leaders do, whether it be email or face-to-face. They get everything they get done through conversations.
Mm-hmm. There's no way to have a transformational process in the long run if we ignore our emotions and we ignore our body, right? If it's all about the mind and the thoughts, and I know I've been caught into this trap for so many years, and sometimes I still am, which is, oh, I have some kind of thing that is creating a problem to me, or, frustration or sadness. Let me think about it. Let me think about it. And guess what happens? The more I think about it, the more ideas I have, the more thoughts I have. And if I don't pay attention, I just stay here on my mind, right?
Mhm.
Am I really changing anything here? Am I really expanding myself? And I think that's really the value of ontological coaching through, yes, mind very important, but let's use our emotions, let's use the power of our bodies, right?
Well, Daniel, thank you so much. It's been a great opportunity. It's fun to talk to you and to bounce off of you and play with that. Yeah, Thinking Partners. I'm based in Houston, and Zoom goes worldwide. And I'm regularly on the phone to the East Coast, the West Coast, and even a little bit internationally to England, Spain, and South Africa. So it's all possible. So Zoom works for me. The way to get in contact, www.thinkingpartners.com, Ken at thinkingpartners.com. We'll always work to get in touch. And it all starts with just a conversation and getting to know each other and seeing what's possible and seeing how that works. Thank you.
Nice, nice. That's wonderful. And so you can find my information here as well. I'm going to put on the screen and do the same with you, Ken, right? So subscribe to the YouTube channel and, make contact with me as well. As I said, you're not going to find the word coach in my website. But at the end of the day, now that you watch this video, I think you have a very different opinion about the true uh, art of coaching, and that's what we do, myself and Ken. So thank you for being here with us, and have a great rest of your week.